Imagine beings of pure light and celestial power, created to observe mankind from afar. Now imagine these divine sentinels abandoning their sacred duty, descending to earth, and forever changing the course of human history. Welcome to a journey into one of the most enigmatic and controversial ancient texts ever discovered, the Book of Enoch. Today we'll be exploring the mysterious tale of the Watchers, fallen angels whose story was nearly erased from religious history. Before we dive into the Watchers themselves, let's understand what exactly the Book of Enoch is. Written approximately between the 3rd century BCE and the 1st century CE, this ancient Jewish religious text is attributed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah and the 7th patriarch in the line of Adam. Despite being referenced in the Bible's Book of Jude, the Book of Enoch was excluded from most Western biblical canons. It remained largely forgotten in Western Christianity until Scottish explorer James Bruce brought copies from Ethiopia in the 18th century. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church is one of the few Christian denominations that still considers it canonical scripture. What makes this text so remarkable is its detailed account of angelic beings known as the Watchers and their fateful decision to intervene in human affairs, a decision that would have catastrophic consequences. The Book of Enoch tells us that God appointed 200 angels called Watchers to observe humanity from the heavens. Their name in Aramaic, Aaron, literally means those who watch or those who are awake. Their divine mission was simple: observe but never interfere. According to the text, these were powerful beings led by their chief Samyaza, who began to lust after human women. In Enoch chapter 6, we find this dramatic passage. And it came to pass, when the children of men have multiplied, in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heavens, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. What follows is a pact among these angels. Samyaza feared being solely responsible for this transgression, so he convinced 200 other watchers to join him in this rebellion against divine law. Together, they descended to Mount Hermon at the southern edge of what is now Lebanon. The text names 20 leaders among these watchers, with Samyaza as their chief. Other notable watchers included Arachiel, Ramael, Kokabiel, Tamiel, Dano, Ezekiel, Barakiel, Asael, Armaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zakiel, Shamsiel, Satarel, Turel, Jomjael, Sariel, and perhaps the most infamous of all, Azazel. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Watcher narrative is how these fallen angels didn't just mate with humans. They taught them advanced skills and knowledge that humanity was not yet meant to possess. The Book of Enoch details specific technologies and arts taught by specific Watchers. Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes so that the world became altered. Other Watchers shared equally transformative knowledge. Samyaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Armaros taught the resolving of enchantments. Barakijal taught astrology. Kokabiel taught the constellations. Ezekiel taught the knowledge of the clouds. Arachiel taught the signs of the earth. Shamsiel taught the signs of the sun. Sariel taught the course of the moon. This transfer of divine knowledge to humans was considered a grave sin. In the ancient worldview, there was a proper order and timing to technological and cultural development. The Watchers accelerated humanity's progress unnaturally, giving mankind power before they had the wisdom to use it properly. Perhaps the most dramatic consequence of the Watchers' descent was the birth of their hybrid offspring with human women. These weren't ordinary children. The Book of Enoch describes them as giants, known as the Nephilim. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. To put this in perspective, an EL was roughly 18 inches, which would make these giants thousands of feet tall. Clearly hyperbolic, but conveying beings of tremendous size and power. More realistic interpretations suggest they were perhaps 9 to 15 feet tall, still towering over ordinary humans. These Nephilim were described as violent and insatiable. They consumed everything humans could produce, and when that wasn't enough, began to devour humans themselves and even drink their blood. The text suggests they even began to eat one another. This violent corruption of the natural order caused immense suffering. The cries of humanity reached heaven, leading the archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel to intervene and bring the matter before God. This is where Enoch himself enters the narrative as a key figure. Described as a righteous man who walked with God, Enoch was chosen as an intermediary between the divine and the fallen watchers. When the watchers realized the extent of their sin and the punishment that awaited them, they asked Enoch to petition God for mercy on their behalf. The Book of Enoch contains moving passages describing the fallen angels' pleas, and they besought me to draw up a petition for them that they might find forgiveness and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. And then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their request that they should have forgiveness and length. Enoch agreed to take their petition to God. But what makes this section of the text so powerful is that Enoch already knew the answer. He had been given visions showing that the Watchers' fate was sealed. Their transgression was too severe, their corruption of the natural order too complete. You have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against you to put you in bonds, and you shall not receive mercy or peace. The Book of Enoch describes in vivid detail the punishment of the Watchers. First, they were forced to witness the destruction of their beloved Nephilim offspring. Bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness, and cover his face that he may not see light, and he may be cast into the fire on the great day of judgment. The text describes how God sent the archangel Raphael to bind Azazel and cast him into darkness in the desert of Dudael, where he remains imprisoned until the final judgment. The other Watchers face similar fates, bound and imprisoned in various remote places. As for the Nephilim, the archangel Gabriel was sent to incite them to destroy each other in civil war. The archangel Michael was commanded to bind Samyaza and his associates for 70 generations in valleys of the earth until the day of judgment. What's particularly notable is that their punishment isn't final yet. The Book of Enoch describes this imprisonment as temporary, lasting until the day of the great judgment. Only then will the Watchers face their ultimate fate, eternal fire. The corruption brought about by the Watchers and their Nephilim offspring was so severe that it necessitated a global cleansing, the great flood of Noah's time. In this way, the Book of Enoch provides a deeper backstory to the familiar biblical flood narrative. The knowledge taught by the Watchers, metallurgy, weaponry, cosmetics, sorcery, astronomy, and more had corrupted humanity beyond redemption. Only Noah and his family were found righteous enough to be saved and to begin humanity anew. This connection between the Watchers' transgression and the flood adds a profound layer to the Genesis flood narrative, suggesting that the deluge was not just about human sin, but about cleansing the earth of corrupted divine knowledge and hybrid beings. Despite being excluded from most biblical canons, the story of the Watchers has had a profound influence on Western religious thought, literature, and occultism. Elements of the Watcher narrative appear in later Jewish mystical traditions, like the Kabbalah. The idea of angels teaching forbidden knowledge to humans influenced the development of Western esoteric traditions, particularly alchemy and ceremonial magic. The Renaissance saw a revival of interest in Enochian material, with figures like John Dee, the court astronomer to Queen Elizabeth III, claiming to have recovered Enochian magic through angelic communications. This system continues to influence modern occult practices. In popular culture, the Watcher narrative has inspired countless books, films, and television shows. The concept of fallen angels and their forbidden knowledge has become a staple of supernatural fiction. The theological implications of the Watcher narrative are profound. It raises questions about free will, not just for humans, but for angelic beings as well. The story suggests that even divine beings closest to God can fall through their own choices. It also addresses the problem of evil in a unique way. Rather than placing the blame solely on human sin, the Book of Enoch suggests that some corruption came from outside humanity through the Watcher's intervention. Perhaps most significantly, the text explores the boundaries between the divine and human realms, suggesting that these boundaries exist for good reason. When they're transgressed, chaos ensues. The story of the Watchers remains one of the most fascinating and enigmatic narratives from ancient religious literature. Whether you view it as literal history, allegorical teaching, or mythological storytelling, its power to captivate the imagination is undeniable. The tale of celestial beings who fell through their own desires serves as a powerful metaphor about boundaries, knowledge, and the consequences of our choices. It reminds us that even knowledge and progress, when divorced from wisdom and proper timing, can lead to destruction. The Book of Enoch, its account of the Watchers, continues to resonate because it speaks to fundamental human questions. What is the proper relationship between heaven and earth? What knowledge are we ready to handle? And what happens when boundaries meant to protect us are crossed? If you've enjoyed this exploration of the Watchers, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into ancient texts and mystical traditions. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to know what aspects of the Book of Enoch you find most fascinating. Until next time, reminding you that sometimes the most profound truths are found in the stories others try to forget.